Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Lost Cards. This one's for Alibou Ancient Witness. We put this deck together. It's a Boros artifact creature token, Precursor Golem madness. We've got some fun new angles on the deck though, so check it out here. All right, here we go. It's the Lost Cards for Alibou Ancient Witness. Very fun deck here, Boros, artifact, creature, tokens, a lot of different ways actually to take this one. We kind of included it all. I like a deck with some variance in it. You know how I do. I like to include a little bit of everything so that we can have some different experiences when we play the deck over and over. But there's definitely like more kind of narrower lanes to go down with this, and the first things that jump to mind are like tribal decks, right? You could go all mirror for this deck, for example. This card is actually in the deck. We didn't get to talking about it in the main episode, but Lodestone Mirror is one that goes in either version. It's actually a good way to get your guys tapped for Alibou's ability. It's like a 2/2 trample, and you can tap an untapped artifact to give it +1/+1. Pretty sweet, mirror deck or not. Yeah. That's going to be a really good way to get things going. Same thing with, speaking of in the deck, but we didn't get to it, Howling Mine, which just becomes you draw an extra card at the beginning of your turn only, because we have so many things that can tap artifacts. Howling Mine is actually able to be tapped in this deck. Because if you didn't know, Howling Mine's text says, at the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws an additional card.
I always forget that matters because you're usually never tapping this.
So when they first,
this deck has ways to do it.
Yeah, and when they first were making artifacts, I think I don't want to say all because I don't know for sure, but I know that a lot of early artifacts had this thing where like they sat there, but if they were tapped, they were like turned off, even if they didn't have an ability to tap them. It was like if somehow your opponents could tap your artifact, it turned it off.
There were things called mono artifacts which had like a use, like you had to tap to use. But then I think generic artifacts were just always on.
Yeah.
I think, what's the other one? There's like a Meekstone, I think. There's another thing that's a Staxy card that you only untap. Winter Orb. If Winter Orb is untapped, nobody untaps. So the move is you tap it just before your turn, and then you're allowed to untap. So you could easily throw Winter Orb in this deck and then just get a little Staxy thing going.
You could.
Sweat.
That could be. That's a pretty mean thing to do. We again, just following this little tangent we're on. Sean, take this next one in the tabs there.
From Strixhaven, the back side of Augusta, so it's Augusta Dean of Order on the back, which is 2 and a white, legendary human cleric 1/3. Other tapped creatures you control get +1/+0. Other untapped creatures get +0/+1. And whenever you attack for anything with anyone, untap each creature you control, then tap any number of creatures you control. So already you're getting unlimited vigilance, right? Sort of. You're untapping everything. And then you get to tap whatever you want. This is her way to manipulate your power and toughness. You can choose to keep everything more power or more toughness. But as you say, like with like Alibou, what is that? Alibou says the number of tapped artifacts you control. So I would put that trigger on the stack first, then put Augusta's trigger on so that I'm doing the damage for all the tapped ones, and then I'm untapping them with Augusta.
There you go. That's
after they've already done the damage.
That's good. And of course, that's Plarg, Dean of Chaos on the front side, in case you're...
Well, of course, Plarg. We all know
Of course, Plarg.
1 in a red.
Yeah.
Discard a card, draw a card, and you can pay 5 to reveal until you reveal a non-legendary non-land with mana value 3 or less. So you pay 5 to get a free 3-drop or less. I don't know. Yeah,
like this card is in the deck. We just didn't get to it, but it's great in this deck, right? It's great. And so speaking of like I said, like Mirror Tribal, you could go Golem. You could go hard on the Precursor Golem route as far as like, instead of having it just kind of as like a little package. It works either way. But if you could go all Golem Tribal if you want. There's tons of Golems all throughout Magic's history. A lot of them are kind of a little like underwhelming. There's the one though that's kind of interesting that like if it hits one of your opponents, you can cast your commander for free.
Oh yeah.
But you still pay the commander tax, which kind of sucks. But like, it's something, it's a golem. It's something. It's included. Thopter is obviously also a very strong tribe to go with this way. You could, your hope of Girapers and things like that, you could include and go nuts in one way. Also vehicles. We didn't talk about going deep into vehicles, but this is a great vehicle commander. Again for the tapping of things. As we talked about in the main episode, there, like if you got all your artifact tokens out and you just want to get them tapped, vehicles are a great way to do it. But there's also some amazing vehicles out there. Parheleon 2. I mean, this is it's an 8 mana 5/5 flying vigilance first strike vehicle that makes 2 4/4 angels when it attacks. You crew this for 4. Like this is an attacking legendary artifact that's it does everything you want.
Well, I know you've put Deepala on the list here, which is so Deepala, right? We know other dwarves get +1/+1 and all your vehicles get +1/+1, but here's the thing that blows my mind with Deepala is that when Deepala becomes tapped, you may pay X. If you do reveal the top X cards, put all the dwarves and vehicles into your hand. But part of Alibou's thing is scrying X.
Yeah.
So like we could, again, it's all about stacking the triggers. We could scry 11 and just put all the dwarves and vehicles on top. And then Deepala's trigger goes. He's like, well, I know exactly what's on top. I want to draw 3 of them, so I'll pay 3 and I will draw these 3. Yeah. Like, it's going to work perfectly. Deepala's perfect here.
There's, you can go either way you want with like including a ton of draw cards or whatever. But because you have that big scry, which like we barely even talked about the scry.
It's
pure bonus, but it's a way that Boros gets. It's not card advantage strictly speaking, but it's the way to make sure that we dig and find these key pieces like Precursor Golem and I mean if you're in this vehicle deck, you can find Apollo this way. You can find the vehicles this way. Like this is what makes this commander really good, very interesting. They didn't give us card draw on Alibou Ancient Witness, but they did give us a hefty scry if you can get those creatures out.
I wonder how many cards in Boros are the type where you like name a card and look at the top, like are there like, because being able to scry X is enormous. Like we can plan our next, like, well, I know what my next 5 draws are and I can adjust those with future attacks if I want to. Are there any cards that we can really take advantage of that with by like knowing what's on the top of our library at all times?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is like if you have something that's going to care about what's on top of the library, I mean, you've got basically you're being able to arrange your draw with every combat step, right?
Amazing.
And if you can do that, then you can be casting things off the top.
Well, you referred to like, what's that horn where like you look at the top card and if it shares a creature type with your commander or something. So like you're able to, like, if you want to go tribal, you're like, well, I'll just make sure it lines up perfectly. And like, there you go. I've always got one on top when it's my upkeep.
The other thing is like Boros. I think there's another look up the card that when it dies, it does that. It looks at the top either X cards or it looks at the top card.
Green Warden. I think that's green.
There's an equipment that does it, where if the creature equipped dies, you get the next one of the same creature type. And it gets to hit the battlefield. It's like you could have this. One of the other sides of Lorehold in Strixhaven proper is this like graveyard theme and exiling cards from your graveyard. Well, you could have the sacrifice theme running through this deck too, which is a total thing we didn't even at all look at. But making tokens, making artifacts that works incredibly well with sacrificing things. So being able to sacrifice, an artifact creature like a golem and find the next golem on top. I mean, that's going to be great.
Very cool.
A lot of different ways. I love it. I was so pleased to see the like extra attack and Precursor Golem route that like the Discord ended up going in. I was just pleased.
That's a fun one.
I was just happy to like see what we could do with the tapping and untapping shenanigans, and then you can just mix them together. Add some graveyard into this one too. Whatever. It's fun. A versatile commander, a very fun commander, and that's it. There you go.
Super fun.
Check out the main episode for Alibou Ancient Witness if you haven't already. It's episode 294. Whether it's on audio, it's on YouTube, whatever it is. Same thing though. Let us know if you have seen any other great cards for Alibou or any other alleys that we didn't go down for this one. That's what we love to do. That's what the Lost Cards is all about. If you do, hit us up in the comments. Let us know. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. Brand new deck tech, brand new Lost Cards. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCG Player affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.